Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with 3 S's. I'm your host here, Francis. Up top today, we have Michelle here. How are you, Michelle?
I'm all right. Been better.
Understand.
I was definitely invested in the episode tonight. I'll say that. Some unexpected moments. I'm just annoyed. I'm annoyed. That's how I feel right now.
We're definitely going to get into it with Matthew here as well. Matthew, how are you doing? And how do you feel loosely about this week's episode?
Yeah, I mean, I'll start off hot. I think we witnessed history tonight, and after about 40 plus seasons, I think we may have seen the worst move in challenge history.
Okay.
Definitely excited to get into it.
Okay, I'm interested to hear how this conversation is going to evolve. Of course, we're talking about the Challenge USA episode 4. I have to definitely say that the season is not disappointing as up to this point. Like every episode, I'm like, this one was really riveting. I was like on the edge of my seat. Like I didn't know who to root for. Like like it was a lot that was going on. I loved it, and I'm not sure if I agree that was the worst move in challenge history necessarily.
It was a really poor move. So I think I can get behind your thoughts, but we'll see.
I mean, we've seen people put themselves into elimination, which is a bad move. But the reason I say I think it's potentially the worst is there's such a clear divide in this season in terms of who is on the cast, and you've already lost a member, and there were such clear options available. Survivor Love Island pairs were available, and you went after the physically strongest person on your side. So, I mean, I don't think we've ever really seen anything like that happen where the divide is so clear. So,
and also, yeah, we'll get into it too, but I also feel that it was an even worse decision for Alyssa than Kyland as well.
Well, this is like I can see like off the bat why it could be a bad move for her. But the fact that even in Shan's confessionals, she was coming for Alyssa. She doesn't really respect Alyssa, doesn't really like Alyssa's game. And so Alyssa would be a name that Shan would easily say. And I wouldn't be surprised if some people weren't that, didn't trust Shan that much. And we saw a couple of times, like even in the preview of this episode, we see Shan talking to DX, and DX wasn't getting good vibes from her. She was saying like, oh, like I just want to get to know people, but he saw her game and he saw how she played. And I think that the vibe that he got when they were paired up together, he relayed that information to Alyssa, being like, I don't know if we can trust her. So as much as they're saying that it's all Xavier that they're trying to get out and it's such a bad move, I'm not sure if keeping Shan was a good move, because if she did get power, they would potentially be in the hot seat.
Right. But I mean, another reason I think it was such a horrible move is because, I mean, we can look at it results as a result, like from the results, David and Justine won. But going into the elimination, I mean, I was shocked that Xavier and Shan lost that. I thought they had no chance to lose to David and Justine there, almost no chance. I know eliminations can be quite random, but just going into it, you're putting them in against arguably the weakest pair there. And 9 times out of 10, I mean, I would assume Xavier and Shan are going to come back from that. So, I mean, they got a little bit lucky that wasn't the case. But, I mean, if Xavier and Shan did come back, I mean,
that would have been obviously terrible.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of, like, there was definitely some luck involved for Alyssa and Kyland. And I do agree that it is a decent move for her to not have Shan around for sure. I do agree with what you're saying. But I do think that 95% of her decision was against Xavier. You know, I think her intention was incorrect, but I think the result for now is kind of working in her favor, except for the fact that now the door is open. Like, doesn't matter what show you're on, you've opened it. Like, Azah, all these other people are going to be like, the fuck?
Well,
You know
this
what I
is
mean?
the thing, though, as well. Like, I totally agree with your side. I'm just obviously playing devil's
Yeah,
advocate here.
of course.
But like the fact that I think that she also is playing into what Tyson and Angela might want, right? And so the fact that he was like, "Are you doing this for me?" Like, whatever you say, whatever you want to do is perfect. And Angela's like, "Yeah, I support you. Whatever you want to do." And you're taking out like Xavier would be somebody that maybe Tyson wouldn't want to go against in a final. And he hasn't necessarily proved himself to be a great competitor for Shannon or for Angela. So I can also see them being like, yeah, let's cut some of this fat and we don't have to get any blood on our hands by taking out one of these people or throwing them down and them coming back. So I think that she might have bought some favor with the two that are pretty much the strongest competitors so far in this game.
Yeah, like they're less likely to maybe throw her in at this point. I think also like Angela was like, yeah, sure, because if she's not the one doing it, that's great. No blood on my hands. If Angela was in that position, she would not have thrown in a Big Brother yet. She was smart enough to not throw that first stone. So it just was not a smart idea, even though like I do understand why they would. I'm just like, ooh.
Now, okay. This is just throwing this out there. I don't know if I believe this to be true or not, but do you think the fact that TJ has been bigging up Alyssa insofar as Matthew chose her as his first girl when we did our draft? Do you think the fact that when Xavier was leaving and he's saying like, I'm rich, you guys are broke, like stupidest move, all that stuff, do you think that she gets the win?
No.
No?
I think she has absolutely no shot at this point.
Yeah.
So you think that this move here is what TJ's talking about, and then the rest of her game is going to fumble because she's qualified to run.
Yeah, she's qualified to run. I mean, she could very well win a couple eliminations, but she just gave all the power in the game to the strongest players in the game. And I mean, I know you mentioned that like she gained favor with Tyson and Angela, but there was another alternative here where they could have just thrown in Tyson and Cayla. Tyson and Cayla were.
I don't think that would have been a good thing for Alyssa.
Well, but why not? I mean,
I think she wants to run the final with Tyson.
I mean, I guess if she's going to be paired with Tyson
and they were just
alone,
partners together, so I don't know if she would do that. But sorry, let me hear this theory. Anyways.
Yeah, but I mean, I just think you want to. I mean, for Kyland for sure. Why are you going to keep Tyson and appease Tyson by taking out someone that's a threat to him and is not a threat to you? Realistically, I don't think Xavier would have ever gone for either Kyland or Alyssa. He already got his win last season. So I think Xavier would have stayed loyal to them as far as he possibly could have.
Yeah, she didn't need to do this at this point.
Yeah, so now I just think she's disposable. I mean, sure, like she helped Angela out here. She helped Tyson out here. They're not going to care. Tyson will never care. Like he
doesn't care about anyone, really.
Yeah, he's not going to owe her anything. Angela's not going to care to pay back a favor for this. I mean, it's in the grand scheme of things. I think it was more to make that big move and for revenge than it was to actually progress further in the game. I don't see how this is going to help her in any way.
Well, definitely we'll have to
see.
To find out. Sophie's here. Hi, Sophie. Thank you for the super chat. So Sophie wants to know how many cast members from this cast will show up on the MTV version of season 2 or season 2 of this version.
I think a lot of them, like that are still there, would be people they'd bring back. Like I think a lot of the Love Island people who are making their mark, like Justine and Cash and stuff like that. I think I can see these people, you know, Cinco's already stayed long enough that even though he hasn't done much, he's someone to bring along.
I think he had a good episode this episode, though.
Yeah, and like, you know, he's though that he hasn't caused too much drama or anything yet, but he's around drama. He's attractive. He's athletic. Like, he's someone to definitely.
He's going to
keep
be
around.
part of the Young Bucks if he does go over there, though.
I mean, he'll make them better, hopefully. I mean, not that I am into the
Hi, Tanita. How are you? So Dina says, I would have loved them to have been upfront about X at the elimination instead of using Shan as the scapegoat. I'm wondering also, because we saw this storyline be sprinkled in since the first episode. And I think you, Matthew, were saying, like, why do we need to talk about this? And I'm wondering if part of being cast is maybe suggesting what storyline you would be bringing to the table. I'm wondering if that is also part of why she made this move, because she probably has a producer that she's working with her storyline and like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And this is like how I'm, like working with what's going to happen in the season. And so I'm wondering if she kind of had to deliver a big move on a silver platter as kind of part of, not a contract, but what she kind of promised to deliver.
Yeah. And one thing I really liked about this episode in particular was it would have been so easy for the show just to like skip to the elimination and Kyland and Alyssa make that speech as to why they were doing it. It would have been really easy to just throw all blame on Shan. But I liked how they showed us that this was part of the strategy and that they were going to say we're blaming it on Shan, but really it's in large part because of Xavier, but we just don't want them to know it's because of Xavier. So
yeah,
we got to see the behind the scenes, which they didn't have to show us. And it would have been very easy to just turn Shan into the fall person there. But they went with the strategy route, which I thought was cool to see. They didn't do the flashbacks, which I liked as well. I like to kind of see that progress throughout the episode there.
For sure. I want to see how it goes instead of being like, ha, this is what happened. Like, no, show me. So what about for season 2 of this show? Who do you think will possibly return?
They better bring Shan.
Yeah, I think like Shan is probably better suited for this version than MTV. I mean, if Tyson wants to be there, he'll be there. Angela, honestly, could see her on either. I think I could either.
See her becoming a staple because I feel like she's in her element. Yeah. Like she seems to be thriving. Like she's great physically. Like she has a handle on the strategy. I feel she doesn't like freak out and get like emotional, or she doesn't show too many of her cards. So I think she could be a good person to bring onto the season. The main show even, but I just don't want her to be teamed up with Casey, her best friend.
I forgot about that.
It would strengthen that side, but maybe it would make it more palatable.
I need James back too.
Oh yeah, James I think is definitely better suited for the MTV, the CBS version, not the MTV one. Honestly, any of the like over 30 crowd, I could realistically see back on this version. I doubt a Tyson would want to go over to MTV, but
he might have been bitten by the bug and be like, oh, it's a good way it's pretty easy to make like some money here if he wins.
One thing I did want to flag, I was listening to Shannon was on a podcast with Mark Long earlier
Your
in
favorite.
the week.
Do you have a crush on Shannon?
I love Shannon. I just think she's an amazing character. But
Pisces support right here.
Yeah, she was on this interview with Mark Long, and she actually revealed to him that she was asked to be on the current challenge season that's filming now, so season 38. So they asked her after filming CBS to do that one, and she turned it down because she was not happy with the food and the living conditions on the show. So I don't know if we'll be seeing Shannon back anytime soon, but hopefully she changes her mind because I think she would be so much fun on the MTV version.
Yeah, she'd kind of be like a new Nani, I would feel, because she can get pretty wild. When before her and Josh were in a solidified couple, she was pretty out there, like fun, like getting in fights, like being a pop-off queen type vibe. So she definitely would suit the other season. It's just a little bit more wild, I guess we'll say. So maybe she'll change her mind if they ask her again. Maybe after Olivia's on the show, and if she has a decent run, maybe she'd be like, you should do it. Let's go back. Let's go run the thing. So maybe 39, we'll see Shannon.
Yeah.
Thank you for these super chats, Sophie. So Sophie wants to know, wait, BB24, aka the future cast members of both the Challenge, MTV and CBS. On BB24, this week has been outstanding. It's probably one of the best weeks in Big Brother since season 6. But I don't really like that many people. So it's hard for me to say who I'd want from the season on to see again. Maybe Michael? I just don't think he'd do the challenge. I like Michael. I could see Taylor. I would see her on
Taylor,
have a nice redemption, be loved and supported on a show from the beginning.
Yeah, I think Taylor definitely for a CBS season 2. Maybe Joseph.
Yeah, maybe Joseph. He's kind of, I like him and I appreciate his part of this whole week, but he's a little soft, I find.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Not super entertaining, but
even keeled, even though he's a Leo.
Yeah, but he's 25 now, so.
He is 25. Was his birthday on the 25th or 24th? Was it his champagne birthday?
It was the 24th.
I think his birthday was Sunday.
Sunday? Okay, it's 24th.
Yeah.
Because the 25th is my half birthday, so I've always pay attention to the 25th. So let's talk about this actual episode. We see at the very beginning when they do their little preview part, it's Xavier with a blanket on himself, and he's like, "Oh, a storm is brewing," and I was like, does this have to do with you? And then all the things were about Alyssa and revenge and Derek X and revenge and Shan. They just were really laying it on thick. Did you guys think that the episode was going to be anything other than this revenge plot?
I was completely shocked. Even when they were getting into it early on, I was like, okay, this is weird, but maybe it's setting something up for the future. But there's no way that Alyssa and Kyland are going to really put them in. Once I saw that they won the challenge, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's setting up something for 2-3 weeks from now. I was completely shocked. I thought it was going to turn around and it was going to be Cinco and Shannon the whole time.
I also thought it was going to switch for a bit. But what I also noticed is that we had not one, but at least 2 confessionals by David in the first 10 minutes. And I went, he's going into elimination. 100%. He's going into elimination. Then when I see he's with Justine, I'm like, fuck. And then I was like, they might win randomly, but not likely. I was kind of like, you know what? There's a weird potential depending on who they're up against, but they're probably going to lose is kind of how I saw the episode shaping up.
Yeah. My first note of the episode was David got a confessional. He is absolutely going home. I thought when he got a confessional to open the episode after they did the pairs, I thought, okay, it's it for David. And then when they lost the elimination, you're like, they're definitely going home now. So I was really kind of sad for Justine the whole episode because I love Justine. And I kept thinking they're gone. And then when it was starting to look like, okay, maybe Xavier and Shan are really going in, then I thought, okay, David and Justine are for sure gone. And no, somehow they pulled it off.
So these are the pairs, if I got them correct. So the randomizer put Leo and Desi together, Kyland and Alyssa, Ben and Azah, Enzo and Cashay, David and Justine, Xavier and Shan, Danny and Kyra, Derek and Sarah, Tyson and Cayla, Domenick and Angela, and Cinco and Shannon. And I feel like some of those pairs were wasted. People were probably like, fuck, this is what I put Tyson on? I'm like, damn, like Cayla, had Tyson for this one. And even Shannon having Cinco, that would have been, she even said, I think in a confessional, oh man, I wish I had Cinco for something where we're lifting heavy shit. And so
I will say that there's something to be said about at this point, you're getting into week 4, it's having a partnership that even if it doesn't really, you didn't necessarily need it that week, you build that bond and then you get that relationship. Tyson knew that it was important, it's oh, that I can use this or whatever. She's good for some things. If she's smart, she uses this time to build a good bond with Tyson. so that moving forward, he
Yeah.
maybe won't throw her in, be less likely to throw her in. Same with the James situation.
Mhm.
And then if she hopefully makes it towards when it's round 2, she could end up with him again on something better. So I think it was still like a good moment for her to get to be with him.
Of course, like bonding time is always good. But it would be nice to also qualify for a final with him.
Yeah.
We have some people thinking this episode was a mess. It was a good mess, though. I enjoyed this mess a lot. Hi, Danita. So Danita says, Angela said in her Ask Me Anything that she felt more in her element on the challenge than Big Brother. Yeah, I could feel that. Like, she seems to be doing well and enjoying herself more than on Big Brother.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. So Justine is also not really excited about being paired with David. That sucks though. Like if everybody's like, oh, I don't want to be with him. Oh, like that wouldn't be the best feeling for poor David. But
have a personality then. Like,
yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Have a personality.
How did he get on the show though? I still want to know.
I don't know.
Like all of them. He's been on three times. Like somebody's seeing something.
Yeah. I mean, it's strange that he got cast to begin with. I mean, I understand the invite back after kind of the way he was treated on his first season, but I mean, to go round 3, it's quite odd.
So Danita says Tyson was on Twitter hyping up the idea that he would beat CT and others in a final, so maybe he has his eyes set on the MTV version. He's causing a nice little beef, get a little rivalry going.
Yeah, and also like Tyson is his whole shtick is I'm the best at everything, and I will almost always beat everyone at everything. So like he's gonna play that up.
Yeah, Twitter was quite wild this week in between episodes. I mean, Tyson was getting into it with a few challenge vets. Wes was kind of clapping back a little bit.
Sorry, I didn't hear. Wait, sorry. Twitter moments. Okay, sorry, I've not been looking at like the challenge Twitter.
I think we have to do a segment on like what happened on Twitter for a few minutes.
This is it. Go for it.
Yeah. So Tyson posted something saying that he would beat any challenge vet, any challenge legend in a final and in anything non-physical. Essentially, he said the only thing that the challenge legends could beat him at was straight up physical elimination. So people started saying that like CT is way better than him, like CT would own him in anything, and Tyson was clapping back saying that CT has to carry around his larger frame with him, and kind of going on a little bit there. And then I think Wes started tweeting at Tyson, and then Wes changed his Twitter bio to reality TV's #1 pickleball player. So there was that, and then Mark Long got involved, and Mark was saying that they might have to set something up where these CBS people can go against like the legends of the game. So I think Mark is always kind of looking for the next great thing.
This is smart though.
I'm obsessed with this. Wow.
Yeah, but it was really fun, like Tyson and Wes going at it. And I did want to ask the two of you, maybe not anymore, but Tyson Tyson 10 years ago, I do think would be up there with the best of the best. I mean,
absolutely.
Especially in a final.
I think he is right now.
So
he can handle. He's only maybe a year older than CT, so like 2 years older than maybe than Bananas, maybe 5 years older than Wes.
Yeah, and I think like the better comparison, like obviously like CT and something physical is going to beat almost anyone, but I mean Tyson has like some Jordan to him in terms of like get to a final, you're probably going to win.
Yeah.
So
he's probably a better swimmer than Wes. I mean, who knows for sure, but
oh my God, he has to say something to Wes about that. Oh my God, Wes would be freaking out.
So I don't really disagree with Tyson saying that he could beat anyone. I know it's early, but we'll see if he gets to the final and how he fares there. But I mean, kind of on Team Tyson here.
Of course. I mean, I'm on team. How can this happen? Like, I love it. Now, I'm wondering though. So when I've been talking with Drew and Chris on Fridays, it came up. I don't know if it was a fact or if it was we were kind of musing about a potential, but that there was Bananas and maybe Wes were in one of the previews for the Challenge USA. And so he's wondering if the winners part where it's like going against all the other countries, if there might be more representation from USA, whereas they would bring there's other winners from like maybe the MTV side that would be in support of the Challenge USA. And so maybe like not just the winners, but maybe like the people that ran the final for each of those countries or something. I don't know. I don't know exactly what they're going to do, but maybe that's why they're having an interaction, because maybe they're thinking that they might be playing together.
Yeah, maybe it'll be something like they'll choose 4 or 6 or whatever from each. And I mean, I'm sure like say Tyson doesn't win, I'm sure he'll get the call and they'll ask him if he wants to compete in that. It's like to get him against Bananas and or Wes or CT or whoever ends up there, Darrell, like the best of the best. I mean, I don't think they would pass that up, even if Tyson ends up not winning this season.
For sure. So I'm wondering if that's why they're having all this new interaction. Like, why did you put a quarter in West for this? Like, why is he piping in right now? So I'm curious as to it. It always is groundwork for something else. So I'm very, very pleased with this breadcrumb. Thank you.
Yeah,
I did not see a trace of that, but my Twitter feed has been just flooded with Big Brother 24. So did not see any of that. Oh, and it might be muted actually, because when like spoilers for this were coming out, that hashtag is gone. So I don't know if it was a hashtag. Any other Twitter musings before we move on with the episode?
I had a bit of a fun interaction with Danny McRae actually via Twitter. So someone was tweeting about
Also, we had maybe one confessional with him where he said,
Kiki.
"I love you" to my wife.
Yes,
so
that has to be something as well. We should start getting points for, or like minus points. I don't know. Or David gets a point every time that Kiki gets a confessional.
So Danny was tweeting about like eliminations and like trying to avoid eliminations. And I tweeted back at him saying, I'd love to see you go into a hall brawl against Fessy and put him into his place. And he responded saying, well, the goal would be to not go against anyone, but if I had to, I would smoke him. And then people started tweeting back at Danny saying, oh no, Fessy would destroy you. And like, you've done 0 eliminations. You're scared to go in. I'm like, first of all, like, he's not really scared to go in. It's been 3 weeks. And like, why do you want to go in?
You don't want to.
But then like Danny, I was tweeting back at Danny.
Scared to go in. Sorry.
I was just like, this guy is an NFL player. He did this for a living. Like he hall brawled people for 7 years as his job. He is not scared of anyone, let alone Fessy. So it was just kind of funny to see Danny kind of clap back there. And again, I mean, I've said it a few times on our chats. I would just love to see that and just see Fessy finally lose one of those.
Oh, I'm salivating at the thought of that.
He's never even done a hall brawl against someone even remotely close to his size at all.
Yeah. I mean, he got Kyle, Nelson. I think it was it. Just Kyle and Nelson.
2. Yeah, Kyle and Nelson.
And then who did he do the pole wrestle with?
Jordan, which was
Jordan with one hand. And and we know when he went against Nelson, he did the sand in the eyes. And we also know when he went, and when we went, broken finger. And like, it was hard for him to beat Kyle still. Mm-hmm. And Kyle is much smaller than him. So fuck you.
Bye, Fessy. I hope that happens too. We get that. Maybe it'll be all like the battles. So they did do that whole fight with the Big Brother people, US versus Canada Big Brother fight night. So maybe they could do a little bit of like the challenge fight night, CBS versus MTV, something. You can take it, Mark. You can run with that idea if you want. So we see here that DX studied all the Survivor players, and I thought that was interesting. So because he wasn't really a big fan of Big Brother when he played, he knew about it a little bit. He probably watched a couple episodes in Sequester, but I like the fact that it seems that he did a bit of a study on the players that he was going to be playing with, and so I appreciate that. But do you guys think that he also watched maybe some episodes of the challenge?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure maybe a little bit of homework.
I don't think so, because he knew that this show was new and he wouldn't have to worry about people from the other seasons. But the mistake is not learning the way that the strategy goes on the challenge. But very smart to learn the Survivor people, to know their seasons. Like, that's the thing, is I think a big misstep for Shan this season has been like not realizing how many people have watched Survivor and saw her game already. And like, I think she's so smart, and I love her game. I love her so much, but like, she doesn't realize how epic, how iconic she was in Survivor. Like, people remember. You should come in
knowing that and playing into that
in a way about it, and seeming like you're open with everyone. Like, I'm just playing for me. Like, you can still hide it in a way of like more real. And I feel like she tried to just fake it too much with people like Derek, and that is a hindrance for sure for her.
Yeah, I mean, I think that she should have played into who she is as opposed to pretending like nobody saw who she was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that that's probably what kind of set alarm bells off with DX, because like, if I was going to go in and I was playing with a Shan, I'd be like, okay, don't try to bullshit me. Like, I want to see the real you, and I want to play with the real you. I don't want to play with you being like, oh, I'm not doing anything. And so that could also have rubbed him at least the wrong way too, with like, she's being cagey, she's not being her authentic self. And just kind of also to support the decision of this episode, like, maybe they were scared that he wasn't being truthful and authentic, because they did play a whole season with him where they thought that he was, you know, not lying to them, and he was for the entire show, and then he won the game off their friendship, basically. So maybe they were a little bit nervous that he might get one on them if they had the chance, because he didn't necessarily care for their friendship. Like, he hasn't proven yet that he could be a loyal ally because of their previous interaction.
I'm just thinking about this. Like, I guess I should have already thought about this.
No.
If you know, for Alyssa and Derek to feel that they want some sort of revenge because they were lied to, as you said, for an entire season, and he won the game, for sure. Kyland has his own sort of
they had a
resentment, right? I saw that exit and I thought Kyland was horrible in that moment, in a million moments, but especially then. And so obviously he feels a type of way, so he also has his own version of the revenge. But realistically, if Kyland was actually smart at the game, he would realize, oh, Alyssa so quickly wants to jump on X, who's supposed to be like her best friend, because she wants revenge on what he did. I also lied to her. Everyone in the cookout lied to her. Everyone in the cookout. So like, he should be thinking, does this mean she'll turn on me too? Like, that should get some of his wheels turning, and I didn't see any of that.
Well, I'm thinking, though, he probably had it out for X as well, because he wanted to do that whole, like, me and X, the two top dogs, like, we're going to go to the end, and it's Superman versus Batman, final two. Like, he wanted to have that romance at the end, and X is like, I don't want to take a chance that I might lose this game, so I'm going to cut you at 3 or whatever it was, or 4. And so I think that he's probably also really bitter about that, and so that was probably...
But it blinded him then.
Yeah, like, yeah. I think it blinded him of making... I think he should have probably talked Alyssa out of making that decision. But I do want to see what the aftermath is. I want to see if it was really bad, or if it ends up being like, wow, she did a move that we didn't think was necessarily great, but it actually got her at least to the final and maybe the win. I don't know.
And that's a really good point about her turning the tables on Kyland too. I didn't think of that either, and the fact that Kyland does often think solely like for himself. Like, he's a very selfish player, and I could see Kyland just not even considering the fact that Alyssa would be seeking revenge on him too. So now that it's kind of brought up, I do think Alyssa will probably try to like hop in with Tyson and Angela and she'll have no problem taking out Kyland, whether it's next week or 2-3 weeks from now. I can definitely see the scenario where that happens. And if I had to guess, of the 4 remaining Big Brother 23 people, I think Kyland is probably going to be the next to go.
But it'll be hard to get him out.
Yeah, it'll be hard. I mean, he's fairly physical and seems to be
He's
good.
Got to be caught with a less good partner. And then, although, I mean, we saw with tonight, anything can freaking happen.
Mhm.
Like, you actually cannot predict. Like,
Does Kyland have the most money right now? He does.
Yeah, he's got 12,000.
Yeah, I think Tyson only has 11, and I think Angela only has 11.
Yeah, because they haven't gone into an elimination.
Interesting. Hi, JZM. Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode too. I was like really like on the edge of my seat. I want the live feeds for the challenge, for crying out loud. Definitely we're missing a lot of gameplay and like spicy stuff. So Chris hopes that they do a reunion show. Give us a reunion show. Damn it, CBS. Well, there might be, because there is Dave. Am I making this up? Davon and Devin are both hosting the after show right now, correct?
Oh,
Like the CBS, whatever Alyssa, oh my God, Anissa and Tori were, whatever they were doing. I think it's taken over by them.
That's the podcast. Yeah.
So maybe they will together do the reunion. Maybe.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Have you guys watched it at all? I have not watched any of it.
No, I listened. I think I listened to James a couple weeks ago, but yeah, that was the only episode I had heard. They seem to be doing well though.
So David has a second confessional saying that he has something to prove. And so Matthew, were you immediate being like, prove that he's going home?
Yeah, I was like, I was so convinced he was gone. I honestly thought, like, even if he was going to go into an elimination and win, that the show was just not going to give him a confessional, which would be crazy and probably something that's never been done before, with the exception of maybe D. But that was for other reasons, obviously. I did not think David was getting a confessional until his boot episode. So
do you think that maybe David has a potty mouth and he swears too much, and so they can't? Because I know you watched Love Island season 3, so apparently Jeremy wasn't in the edit because he had really dirty like sense of humor, as well as he swore a lot, and so they had to like cut out a lot of his interactions because it wasn't CBS friendly.
No, I don't think that's the case with David. I think David's.
Who does he talk to? Like, what does he do? I never even see him in the background anywhere. Like, who does he hang out with?
He doesn't talk any strategy is the thing. So, like, to me, he's such an uninteresting person. In both seasons of Big Brother, well, he wasn't really in the first, but like everything I've seen him do, he has no concept of strategy. And if you've watched any of the shows, like, I want to root for someone who's trying to use some sort of strategy. You know what I mean?
Of course.
There's a few people on this cast or this season that's I'm not really sure where they stand in like the grand scheme of things. Enzo's another one. I don't know how tightly aligned he is with the Big Brother people. It is kind of funny that Enzo and David did play together, so they seemingly have some sort of relationship.
Right. All stars.
But don't know how connected either of those two are to the rest of the cast. Obviously, there's the 2 amazing racers that seem to be integrating okay. But yeah, I mean, Enzo, I have no clue where his head is at. David, and even like a Dom. When Dom was saying today that he thought Tyson was his biggest threat, I thought that was quite surprising. I thought they would be closely aligned, but maybe it was just a kind of editing trick there.
Well, I mean, maybe they would be closely aligned, but I also see Dom from last episode. Like, I see him in a bit of a different light. So maybe he is competitive with Tyson, and Tyson might not be competitive back with him. But like, maybe Dom's like, I got to get Tyson out. Like, he's my nemesis, or like, or my adversary, like something. Like maybe he has like a rivalry going on that Tyson doesn't even know about.
Yeah, it once again, like he's become a little bit cringe to watch. I feel like my face going like this when he's speaking. Like I'm just like I used to like you so much. I'm so confused as to
Yeah.
what happened because it's like, yeah, for some reason he's got this vendetta. Like he's decided that he needs to get Tyson out. Dude, you're not even winning anything yet. Like, get yourself some power. I don't know. It was just bizarre.
Yeah, it
And
kind of
also,
makes you wonder.
he should have jumped with joy to have Angela. Like, where was his reaction for that?
Yeah, I mean, it really makes you wonder how much we would love some of these Survivor legends if there were Survivor live feeds. Like,
Oh,
what don't
like
we
maybe
know
not.
about some of these people that
They
Fair.
protect them for sure in the edit. For
You
Yeah,
know
sure.
what?
I mean,
That is so true because there's so many more people from Big Brother that I hate because I've seen how they actually are a little bit more
Mhm.
in real time. You're so right. Yeah.
yeah, it's like
Fair.
scary to think that like
Yeah.
all these legends, like or like these Big Brother people we hate, like they could have just wound up on Survivor, and maybe we would have loved them because they would have been edited like a hero. So it's quite scary. We don't know them as well as we think.
Why do you think that Survivor people that think that Big Brother is more sneaky than they are? Because I think that like whispering in the woods is equally as sneaky as whispering in a pantry.
Yeah. And I also think on Survivor, like, you're deceiving people that you're like helping each other live day to day, like get
Mhm.
water. And it's like a lot more personal because you're seeing people in the
And
elements when
competing
they're
together.
hungry and you're doing all these things and you compete as tribes at the beginning. On Big Brother, it's every man for themselves from the beginning. So the
Mhm.
bonds that people make and stuff, like, it's, it's drawn out more. People have more comforts and stuff. It's like, it's sneaky as well, of course, but I would say Survivor's sneakier.
Yeah, I think maybe part of it is just because of the length of the game. Like
That's true.
you're with Big Brother, it's 3 times as long as Survivor, or twice as long as Survivor. That like your mind is spinning for much longer, and you
Mhm.
have to be like actively manipulating people for a longer period of time. Whereas like Survivor, you can make cutthroat moves, but it's a little bit quicker. So maybe that goes into it. And then the fact that you're stuck in the house, like the days probably feel like weeks. So it feels even longer than it is. So maybe that can go into it a little bit.
So Shan and Xavier are chatting, and as soon as she said, like, you're the best insurance policy that I have here, and I'm like, oh boy, like, like with how the beginning of this episode started, I'm like, is this like the revenge episode? Oh my gosh, like this was so early. Like, I do think it was. I'm surprised that the revenge episode came now. I thought maybe
Yeah.
closer to the final would have been where that shot would have been taken. So the fact that we're getting so many clues that this is what was going down, like, okay, Shan's getting a lot of confessionals here. I'm like, Alyssa, Derek X, like revenge. I'm like, oh, this isn't looking good, Shan. And when you have confessionals or like clips like this being shown to us, I'm like, this is going to mean something for sure. So, Xavier really thinks that he's like still really good friends with Alyssa and Shan. Like, I think, wait, is that Shan that said that? Who said that? I guess he's over BB23, and it doesn't seem like everybody else is. And I think though that that's also on Xavier. I think that he should have paid a little bit more attention to how people felt after the game. Like, just because you are over everything, you won $750,000. So it's a lot easier for you to get over everything than the people that you stepped on along the way to get that $750,000. So he didn't seem to do. I never thought he was that great of a player personally.
No, me neither.
And so
not one of my faves.
I don't think that he actually played this game well, knowing that these people might be bitter. He didn't nurture that relationship at all, in my opinion. From what we saw on these 4 episodes, I don't know. He definitely should have seen it coming. So we get to the daily, and TJ is laughing, and they're like, "Why is he laughing?" It's like, "This is my favorite challenge because we get some trivia," and this was a good trivia. I enjoyed it. Nobody, like, everybody competed, and they didn't. I can't do this. Like, I'm not gonna be hardest in here. This is where we also get Danny's mentions his wife Kiki. I didn't know what he ever said, what he actually was talking about, but he did say my wife Kiki, and that's all that I wrote down.
Yeah, he said if he dies doing this trivia, he leaves everything to Kiki.
So what do you guys think about the format of this trivia? So it was I believe it was 3 rounds, and the people that dropped first from each round would be in a loser bracket, and then the winners from each round would go compete to be the winner of the daily.
I liked it. I feel when it comes to like association word game, things like that, I just feel that I know that it was like then there was a loser round. But there's an advantage to being the first one.
Of course.
Because there's always one thing, because they were pretty simple. There's always one name that usually comes to mind, that most common. And that gets you through the first round, which gives you 2 to 3 other opportunities for someone else to fall first and be in the loser round. So I do feel like it's a little bit of a disadvantage for the people that weren't asked first, who were asked third or for whatever, for that first round. I mean, obviously the goal is to win, so like you should just be able to, but I get stressed when I play those games. You have to do it fast, and like I'll know a million sometimes, but like I'll get caught up in what the first person says, and then it's hard for me to like if it's like super fast. So I feel that it was kind of made me a little bit like, ugh. But otherwise I thought it was good.
What do you think about the style though? It's like top 10. So some of the questions were name Spanish language countries, or top 8 tradable currencies and their countries. And so yes, it would be testing your knowledge, but you kind of have to like go through like and get all 8 and remember which one has already been said. Do you prefer that style, or like if everybody gets their own completely individual question and some questions are easier, some questions are harder?
I liked this format just because you're not getting questions that are so different, where someone may be asked to spell like a crazy long word, where someone else gets name a currency. Sometimes on like the flagship show, there's a huge disparity between the questions, which always sucks and it's kind of unfair. So I do like that each pair gets the same question. So yeah, I thought overall format worked out pretty well.
So I thought it was kind of funny though when Tyson was saying that Cayla has wisdom in her face. I can see that she has wisdom. I was like, what does that actually mean, Tyson? Because she wears glasses?
That immediately was like I was like, because she wears glasses and she looks smart.
She does look smart, but like she's wisdom in her face. It's like interesting choice of words there. One of the questions was who played Catwoman on the big screen. I was like, I wasn't expecting that question to be on the challenge at all.
Yeah,
I think they just did it because
I only know 2.
Right.
Oh, I know 3. That's it.
I wouldn't have guessed Anne Hathaway. I would have guessed
no.
Halle Berry was the first person I thought of. I would have. My second person was Zoe Kravitz.
Didn't Michelle Pfeiffer play Catwoman, or am I wrong?
Yep, that might have come to mind. I think that would be it, though. Oh, maybe Eartha Kitt. Is that her?
Did she actually play her?
I don't know. But maybe I don't know. I'm just thinking like maybe Catwoman. Drag Race. I'm like, wait, I don't know. I can't remember, but that one was like. I mean, it was fun. I liked pop culture stuff because everybody has an opportunity to really know that. And I found it very interesting that a lot of people just didn't know some basic things. Like I don't watch or play hockey, but like I thought that more people would know hockey teams that have been in the Stanley Cup, you know?
Yeah, same. But they don't care about hockey over there.
I guess not.
No, they truly don't. It's like basketball, baseball, football.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Like maybe, yeah, they do not care about hockey. Oh, people that I know from the States, at least. They're like, what?
I thought the heavy animal question, I was like, could have been better. What other questions did we have here? Were there any other ones that you thought were good?
I was kind of cutting in and out for me when I was at work because I had to keep stopping it. What was that weird moment with the animals where then Dom was like, that's not right. That's not an animal. What was that about?
It was a shark.
But that wasn't even his answer. It was the other team that was answering.
I think he was still thinking, though, like that they were going to be out, so they didn't have to think of another answer, but they would be the next person to guess if they have, like, with a new question. So I think it was just saying, like, oh, we don't have to think of one. Like, that's wrong. I think.
Oh.
But I didn't remember,
Like
though,
it's
what
an
the
animal,
answer
and
was,
then-
but it
then
was still a shark, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was
shark.
debating if a shark was an animal or a fish. So Dom was convinced
But
that
was he thinking mammal? Because I'm like, there's a difference between a mammal and a fish. But if you're calling like an overarching animal, like I guess it just depends on what you mean by animal. But I just thought it was because I like paused it and I went back to it, and he was just being like, it's there. And then Angela was like, well, it's still an animal. And then Cinco's like, it's still an animal. And what Shannon or is like, it's still an animal. It's a fit. Like, and it was just such an uncomfortable moment. It's like, oh fuck it, like I don't care. I'm like, dude, relax.
I don't know what's happened to him.
Relax, though. It was weird.
Maybe he's just not getting a favorable edit from CBS, and maybe
Yeah.
CBS Survivor really liked Dom, but maybe CBS, like the challenge, doesn't like Dom as much because they're not giving him a good edit. Like I used to like his confessionals. I used to want to hear his strategy talks, like how he was perceiving the game, and now I'm like, you can go next.
Yeah, I think they just need villains, right? I mean, like
Yeah.
Tyson is like a fun villain that people are rooting for, but I think they need more of an evil villain. So maybe they're going Dom. They're painting Dom solely in that light. Not to say that he hasn't done things that were extremely frustrating, but they might just be highlighting more of it.
True. Yeah, that's fair.
So, I mean, we don't have to go through who was in the loser bracket and all that stuff, but the end of the daily, we see that Kyland and Alyssa end up being the winners here. And
Oh, you're muted.
Sometimes my mic, it's just loose, so it just like
living on the edge.
It just comes out, and I don't know how to stop it because I don't know. So yes, I wasn't expecting for them to be a winning team here at all. I guess because I'm not rooting for Kyland, but I guess he's a strong player because he's won 2, Tyson's won 2, Angela's won 1 or 2.
2. One with Kyland, one with Tyson.
He's up with the big dogs.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I have to like put some respect on his name, and he's won an elimination.
Yeah, he did his homework and for the most part, and he seems to be in shape and he seems to be doing well. And I'm not mad about, like, he hasn't done anything in the game so far that I'm like frustrated by in the same way that I was at Big Brother. But I don't find him super likable. And I think maybe I'm just tainted because of like some of his behavior on Big Brother was just I wasn't into it. So maybe I'm just kind of like, I'm shaded by that. And so I can't like him, but I don't hate him or anything like that. Like he's doing well. And honestly, it'll be interesting if he gets to the final because it'll be a lot of strong people. If it's like him and Tyson and
really suspenseful.
Danny, maybe if he ever does anything, Cinco, like it could be like it could be like interesting.
Definitely could be interesting. With Kyland as well. Actually, shit, my thought just left my mind. Because I didn't say, I just like totally just went. Yeah, I lost it. We'll move ahead then. So Xavier, he was talking to the winners, and he seemed really excited about the fact that like 2 people from Big Brother 23, they won here. They're gonna have the power. And he does, though, give them kind of the okay to throw him in, right? They're like, well, if you do throw me in, like, I'll understand. But if I come back, I'm coming after both of you. Like, kind of a threat, but, like, not a scary threat. And I don't know. I feel like you should never really give people kind of the okay to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I took it as, like, he was just joking around there. I don't think he was joking. Really giving the okay.
Kind of like joking, saying like, yeah, you can put me on the block. I'd understand. No.
Yeah. I mean, you probably shouldn't do it because you don't really know how people are going to take your words. But I ultimately don't think that was the reason, like, that played a part in him getting thrown in. And I think he was just trying to kind of joke around, fully thinking that he was in tight with the both of them. And I thought so as well. I mean, I wrote down the options to go in on my end when I saw that they won during that commercial break when Kyland and Alyssa won. I wrote Cinco Shannon is the number 1 option, then Leo and Desi, Danny and Kyra, and I thought Tyson and Cayla would get thrown. All of those teams would get thrown in before Xavier and Shan. So yeah, I was really thinking that they were ultimately going to pivot and go towards either taking a shot at a Survivor Love Island or just go the easy route, go Love Island.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. As soon as they were like, should we? I was like, it's gonna happen. But then I thought it was gonna be a fake out. Like I thought they were gonna, especially once we get to the challenge and they see it's a puzzle and Derek is like, what the hell? But when that conversation happened, I also was like, okay. I thought that he was saying that and he didn't think they would throw him in, but I also thought he was kind of just, it shows that because he hasn't lost, he hasn't had to have that realization that people are lying to you because he beat all of them. So
right. So he hasn't had to have the feeling of, oh shoot, it's me, I'm going in or I'm going home.
That
or like
feeling is a feeling that you cannot know until you feel it. And so the fact that he was never really in trouble and in my opinion didn't have to play the most strategic game in Big Brother compared to some others. So in this situation, I was just like, man, when he said that, I was like, oh, it's going to be so easy for them to throw him in. But my thought was they shouldn't because it's too risky because there's so much of a stronger team than David. Don't throw them in against David. Throw them in when Cinco loses. Throw them in when, you know what I mean? Danny loses. And then you're like, okay, this is our chance to throw him in. I just thought I was like, I don't think it's going to happen.
For sure. So in the deliberation, they mentioned that Cinco and Shannon are an option here. And Justine is kind of like, I don't want to go against Cinco. And I think it's because she's trying to win here. She's with David, who she's not really feeling is a really strong partner, and also doesn't want to go against her friend Shannon and more Love Island people. Like, so I mean, obviously they must have made a deal with them as well, being like, hey, if we don't take out 2 Love Island people, like, what will you do for us? So they might have gotten some insurance also that we didn't see. And maybe now they have all of Love Island on their side. And so maybe they can break apart from the rest of Big Brother. Is there anybody else from Big Brother left? Okay, maybe Shannon, or sorry, Angela. She's with Angela. Enzo will do whatever. And he was partnered with Alyssa already, I believe. So they're good. So maybe she's just taking out the cookout.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe Kyland does need to be scared.
He definitely does.
Scared. Ooh, maybe that's coming. Yikes.
I think so.
Oh, that's actually could be why TJ's like, she came in on a mission and she took out the entire cookout. Took out the cookout. Shannon is pretty sure that she is going in with Cinco, and Cinco's like, we just have to be ready to go in. So we see Alyssa talking to Tyson and telling him about, and Kyland's there as well, telling them about like the thought of maybe throwing in Shan and Xavier, and Tyson's like, let's do it, like that's amazing for my game, basically. Not to her, but to the camera. And then Angela also gave her the idea to blame Shan. And I was like, Angela, that's very smart. Give her, it makes it easier for her to do something, because maybe Angela doesn't want to play with Shan. Maybe she knows Shan's reputation. So I thought that was a smart move on Angela's part to give her just a little bit more ammunition as to make it an easier decision for her to make. So Cashay wants to be with Survivor. So she wants to back Survivor. She doesn't trust Alyssa, which I thought was also interesting. Doesn't trust BB in general. And so I'm wondering if this is also setting up Cashay now for being on the outs maybe a little bit, because she seemed like she was friendly with Shan.
That could happen. I mean, I think with the partner shakeups, it's really hard to say what will happen week to week. But I think she's definitely someone that will get thrown in again. And David, I also think is someone who will get thrown in again. Agreed. Or he hasn't been thrown in yet, but we'll see. But I think also, like, to leave more Love Island people, they're just discounting them because they're like, they're so bad. Like, they're not good at the game. Who cares if our numbers are dwindling and theirs are still strong? But that's a mistake, because there's some strong people in there that could do some damage. And they have no promises to you. Like, what promise does Cinco have to any of the Big Brother people, or what,
Maybe also Alyssa's playing the long game, right? Maybe she's trying to just make a name for herself, that she's willing to make cutthroat moves, do things a little bit wildly so she can get a call back. Because being somebody that you can count on for making moves in storylines, like that's very valuable for a casting and a production. So maybe also she's like, if I'm going to be on the challenge, I've wanted to be on the challenge since like I've watched the show. This is my opportunity to make my mark. Like, I'm going to make my mark here. And so that could also be her intention for making a big move, even if it's not necessarily the best for her game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be an even bigger move if she took that shot at like the head of the other alliance instead of someone that's seen as the head of your own alliance? I mean, if she wants to just make a big move, like or if they wanted to just make a big move, there were big moves to be made without going after Xavier. So I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
Well, I think this is a big move that she probably got support from a lot of people. You know what I mean? It's kind of like we didn't see with Tiffany, but a lot of people supported that. And James said in his interview with Sarah from Entertainment that Cashel wasn't really somebody that the Love Island people felt was with them. So there probably is more going on behind the scenes that supported them making this move.
Yeah, it's also a big move drama-wise.
Yes.
Right.
Like, it's a big move because they're from the same season.
They're
and
supposed to be
because they're
friends.
best friends, and they're so
Are they coming back as rivals now? Like, I would want to be
It's-
partnered with
it's
Xavier
more
maybe as a
dramatic.
rival team.
Yeah, it's more dramatic than just there are strong teams they could have thrown in there, but like, yeah, drama-wise, it made the most sense to do it. I was still very surprised though.
Shan thinks Kyland is insufferable, which I thought was hilarious because us too. And Alyssa is a weasel. And I'm like, Shan, you're a little bit of a weasel yourself. Is it the pot calling the kettle black here? Because you're a little bit sneaky, Shan.
Oh,
but
she definitely does. That's part of her thing. Like sometimes she's like, yeah, I'm gaslighting and it's her strategy and she does it. Like she did it on Survivor and I was like, ah, but then I was like, icon.
So when we get to the arena, Derek X is scared because it's a puzzle, and Xavier is great at puzzles. And well, we know that potentially Justine is good at puzzles. She's definitely was good at crossword puzzles. So what were you thinking when Derek was like, "Don't do it, don't do it," and Alyssa's like, "Oh my God, Derek's saying like not to do it." Like,
I was like, listen to Derek. I was like, change your mind last minute. Put in Cinco and Shannon. We'll see what goes down. I was like, yeah, it's a poor move to put them in right now. But at the same time, because I was like, Justine's probably good at puzzles. But I was like, there's a going through a thing. David is going to be so slow.
Yeah.
They're playing smash in, puzzle out. So they had to smash only their own windows or glass. And if you like broke your partner's glass, it would be a 5-minute penalty. So
5
Xavier, 5 seconds, sorry.
Or 10 seconds. 10
5,
seconds.
I think it was 5.
Yeah.
And so Xavier was taking the strategy, just like being fast, punching through all of them and just eating the penalty. And it seemed like Justine and I forgot his name, David, we're going to be a little bit more particular about it. So in the end, they got a 50-second penalty versus a 10-second penalty. So do you think that strategy made the difference? Do you think that if they had that 40 seconds more than Justine and David did, if they would have won the puzzle?
Yeah, I mean, it seemed to be pretty close. So it's hard to tell always with the edit, but it did seem that Xavier and Shan were able to catch up. So yeah, I mean, I think ultimately the strategy wasn't horrible in terms of Xavier breaking all of the glass, but David and Justine did surprisingly well to not be that far behind considering the different approaches there. I think they maybe they underestimated the skill of Justine and David there to get through the glass.
Yeah, and because like they were going slower, but like I think if Shan and Xavier tried their best to smash the least amount as possible, and maybe he just does one at the end or something, they still probably could have been faster than Justine and David. So like to risk 50 seconds
It's long.
when they only had to wait 10 seconds, like in the end it was only like a 30-second difference because they were more ahead or whatever, but it's like they seemed pretty close, and I don't know. I think there's something to be said of like if one team already has their puzzle pieces on and then you still have to get them on, there's kind of that feeling of like
You're
it's
behind.
harder. I feel
Mhm.
like it's harder to catch up with the puzzle. Like it's, I don't know.
Definitely. But like surprise of the season,
Oh!
we see David and Justine take the win away from Xavier and Shan, two people that are both very smart, good at puzzles, like strategists. Like the underdogs won in this situation. And I kind of liked hyped up David being like, Justine, you did that. You did that. I was like, look at David, hype man. Like, okay. I wasn't upset.
I was kind of upset just because I mean, not a huge fan of David and am a huge fan of Justine, but I was just upset more so that we don't get to see the aftermath of the move failing.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see Xavier and Shan go back in guns blazing against Alyssa and Kyland. I think that would have been real fun for the next couple weeks.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So I think we could see a scenario now where things kind of mellow down for a few weeks. Whereas if Xavier and Shan came back in, I think it would have been like hot in the house.
I mean, I feel like we're expecting it to be mellow, but I think that something else is going to happen. Like it seems like each week there's something brewing that we had no idea was going on. So I'm hoping that there'll be something else. When Xavier's on his way out, he's like petty little bitches about it. Like I was like, Xavier, like I'm still rich, you all broke. Like, okay, I mean it's fine, it's true, but like I just really expected him to go out a little bit differently. I'd be bitter too, but
I think he's all talk. Like for him to say like, I don't play for revenge, I play to win. You literally said, if you put me in, like I'm coming for your asses, and like
you didn't.
If you can't say how you would be in the situation because you weren't in the situation of losing and getting betrayed, so you don't like to say that he wouldn't be vengeful in the same way, and then he just plays to win. Like I kind of eye rolled at that a little bit, but I also was like, he played hard, he tried his best. I'm much more sad about losing Shan than anything for entertainment value.
Yeah, I want to see her do a little bit more.
I just wanted to see her do a bit more. I didn't need her to win the whole thing. I just wanted her to like get a couple more weeks in at least, So
we have some comments here. So Danita says, Alyssa's 2 for 2 getting out cookout members. Will she be the demise of Kyland and Azah? Maybe not Azah because she's probably not intimidated by Azah in a final, but Kyland should be scared. Or maybe she's just planning on taking out all of them as her revenge.
She didn't really take out Tiff. She was just okay with it.
But wasn't it her or Tiff, right? So I think that...
Oh, right, because she was like, you have to support me, Xavier.
Yeah, she
oh,
was
yeah!
against her.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I forgot about that.
She says BB 23 folks haven't healed. That's true. They came out of the house trying to prove to everyone that they love each other, and that we especially the live feeders didn't see what we saw. That's true as well, because I think I mentioned before, like I don't believe Tiffany's watched her season. If she watched her season back, she'd realize that she probably doesn't want to be friends with some of the people. So and maybe Alyssa has watched her season back and seeing like how much she was deceived. So that could also be why she's a little bit peeved. A lot peeved. So Chris says, gosh, we could have gotten Mike Holloway, but we got David. I don't know. I'm okay with David. I don't enjoy Mike Holloway. Except I like that he married Meg.
Yeah, I think there's better people we could have got than Mike Holloway and David. But
Mike Holloway was an alternate, though, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow. It's interesting. I'm surprised he wasn't on the cast. But yeah, I feel like we could have got better than David, but maybe not Mike.
Danita says, I prefer Devon and Devin as a podcast host over Tori and Anissa. The show seems more fun. I haven't watched it yet. I need to start maybe getting it in the algorithm of my YouTube on my TV, because like if it doesn't pop up on my YouTube on my TV, I probably won't watch it or search for it unless I'm reminded.
Yeah, I can definitely echo that, though. Davon and Devin are much more enjoyable to listen to. They're just Anissa and Tori, that they are kind of just puppets to the network. So
Yeah. So JZM thinks that people really don't like the cookout. I think not that they don't like the cookout. I think that they just really dominated and anybody else that was playing with them didn't really have a chance or a shot. And so I think that the people that were playing were kind of like, what was the point of us even taking away our entire summer when we never had a chance? And so I think that that's probably why they're kind of irritated.
I think in the house, something interesting about the cookout in the challenge house is I think an oversight on all of them was not really considering the fact that this was the most recent season.
Mm-hmm.
So it is front of mind to everyone. So not only are you kind of the majority in numbers, but it's fresh on everyone's mind. It's not like this was an alliance from 5 years ago or even 2-3 years ago, like the Winners at War people that are on together. Everyone knows about the cookout. It was such a huge alliance in reality TV history, obviously. So the fact that they were kind of willing to go at each other and not protect each other, I think was an oversight on the entire cast of BB23, because they should have been able to realize that the target that was on all of them coming into the challenge.
Absolutely.
So Jason says they didn't see the revenge coming because they're too busy trying to pretend all was well after the show. Yes, they wanted to prove to everyone outside was wrong, if that makes sense. Yes, I do think that that's the case. Like they weren't really looking at all the clues of what was actually going down. They were just kind of like playing this like, we're good friends, everybody's gotten over it, when people really hadn't gotten over it. Because like I think that I would be a little bit annoyed or bitter if I were Alyssa. Like I don't know if I would do that move now, but I would probably want to make sure that I at least were ahead of them in the game.
Yeah, same.
So that's pretty much it for the episode. Was there anything else about it that we need to talk about?
One thing I thought was interesting when Xavier was leaving the arena, he mentioned, and I was surprised it made air, but he said something about how Alyssa and Kyland were just playing Tyson's game and the Survivor's game, like that, and he referenced Tyson by name. So I thought that was interesting, and I was curious as to why they included that, unless like Tyson is going to go on to dominate the whole game and potentially win the game. So I thought that was something to note, that he said that. So he obviously clocked that Tyson is the ringleader. So obviously that many people in the house are aware, but also the fact that the show told us that was interesting.
So it looks like Eartha Kitt was one of them. Okay, I couldn't remember, but
Good
yay.
job.
Woo! I wish I got some points there. Definitely wish that. That is pretty much it. I'm actually gonna do some.
Did we do MVP?
Oh right. Oh boy, that's gonna be an interesting.
I was thinking
Okay,
about
what are our points? Let's see our points before.
I got 0 points this episode.
Ooh, Mishy.
I know.
So points for who won the daily? So Alyssa.
Yeah, so I got major points for that because I have both of them, but I lost Xavier.
5 and 5. Coming back. Do you have Justine or do I have it on this one? Justine and David. I think I have David for sure. I don't know if I have Justine on this one.
You do have Justine.
Yes, 20 points. Give it. Living. An MVP. Okay, so my MVP. Excuse me. Actually, you guys go first.
I personally am struggling this week.
Yeah, me
because
too.
I don't really see a clear MVP. If I'm going by who I was like entertained most throughout the episode, I would probably say like Shan. But then if I'm saying who like successfully like was the MVP of the episode,
is it David?
But like because he had 2 mediocre confessionals and then like 1 and we're like kind of happy for him. I'm like, does that deserve an extra 5 points? Like, I don't know. And then I'm like, well, Alyssa was kind of the center of the episode, but I don't think she made like a really smart MVP worthy decision. So I don't know.
What about Justine being worried about going in and end up coming out and winning, even with people people would consider to be the worst partner?
True.
So Justine's my pick. Your pick is Michelle?
I don't know. Go to Matthew first.
Matthew?
Yeah, I find it really tough this week. I mean, I always find it hard to give MVP to someone on the team that just came in dead last in the elimination, unless like they really stand out or like really dominate. Yeah, it is trivia, so it's a little bit more fluky. I definitely want to avoid giving it to Alyssa and Kyland because I very much disagree with the move. I mean, for someone like Tyson, like it was a quiet episode for him, but I just think he set up so well from this, and like he just had other people doing his best moves for him. Like he got rid of the woman in the house that was most onto his game, and that was going to be his biggest foe, and then also got rid of a physically stronger man. So I'm kind of tempted to give it to Tyson. I could roll with Justine as well. I think Justine was fine for kind of clocking David early. So, you know what? Let's go with Justine. I feel like Tyson will have more opportunities.
Michelle, do you agree with that?
I think I can go with Justine. She was right to be apprehensive. She kept her cool.
She worked well with him. She didn't work like Dom was with Cashay and won in spite of him. Like it seemed like they were working together as a team. Exactly. And that shows a good player and a good partner. So I think that she also was instrumental in them doing well because she didn't panic and she still trusted him, even though she didn't think he was a strong competitor.
Exactly.
Yeah, and she is also set up fairly well now because she does not have to be with him down the road, which is actually pretty significant.
That's true.
And just looking over who she's already been with, I mean, she's been with David and Dom, and she has been with Tyson, but Leo, David, and Dom. So she's been with 3 of the weaker competitors already. So she is set up fairly nicely to at least kind of avoid that bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, I think that she is set up pretty well. And so I want to see her succeed. And yes, Red is the Flavor says Justine knew the hockey team. That's true. And I don't remember what answer she lost on. Hold on.
I think they lost when it came back to hockey. And I think David said Vegas is the second guess.
Oh, I don't remember that. Hold on. Where did Justine lose? I wrote it down, but I can't find it.
Yeah, it must have been
that one. It was hockey. Yeah, it was that whole one. So yeah, I came back around. Danny had when he said the Pittsburgh Penguin. So he did end up getting it.
I was yelling. I'm like, Penguin.
It's like one of the ones I know.
Yeah, me too. I'm not a hockey guy, but that was one of the few teams that I would have got.
Yeah, I would have been able to name some. I don't know if they would have been Stanley Cup people. I wouldn't have known that for sure. Well, I think now that is everything. Obviously, it's a pleasure talking to you guys, the challenge, and I could talk to you for hours about it, but we got to save some for next week, of course. Do you guys have anything going on that you want to share with the people?
No.
Not really. Really, no.
Just a lot of reality TV, so that'll keep us busy this week.
I'm excited to catch up on Big Brother. I mean, I know what's going on. I've been watching, reading some updates and stuff like that, but I couldn't commit until the past few days. And the things I've been reading, I'm like,
it's been great.
You know what?
Honestly, watch Monday after 4 p.m. after 3:55 when the feeds come back at 3:56 or something.
I honestly sometimes I prefer to watch the people talking about it in updates because sometimes I find it actually so cringy to watch these people talk, and I want to hear about it. But without the edit of an episode, I'm like, oh my God, it's so painful. Like Nicole, I'm like, this is so painful. Like, I don't know if I can watch this right now. Like, I think I need to just hear somebody else speak about it.
For sure. I totally get that. But it's worth the watch. Like watching the group form, the leftovers form was really interesting. And it feels really good. This episode tonight was also, I thought, was a strong episode.
Yeah, the first half was really sad. Like I was almost in tears the first half.
I did cry.
And then the second half, it was very uplifting.
You can hear the music though. It's like dun, 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 dun. Tonight's episode.
Okay, I haven't watched it yet. So it's satisfying. It's
satisfying for sure. 100%
And
satisfying.
they showed what really happened, which was nice. They
Oh,
didn't
Yes.
they didn't really bullshit us. So
And it's like an Emmy nominated episode. Like it's good. Like it takes you through all the emotions, and it doesn't hide. Nobody can hide it from this episode. Like people's true colors were there, and the narrative was accurate.
Oh
Absolutely.
my god, I'm shocked because the whole time I'm thinking they're not going to actually show this.
No, they show stuff.
Oh god, okay.
They definitely show stuff.
You know
Yes.
what? That makes me happy. Oh.
I love TJ laughing at when he drops the people. That's obviously our favorite part of trivia, is just seeing how much enjoyment TJ gets from torturing these poor souls. Well, that is everything. Thanks everybody for being here. Everybody in the chat, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Like this video and leave a comment. Do you think this was a good move for Alyssa, or do you think it was a game losing move for Alyssa? Let us know your thoughts. Let's continue this conversation in the comments, because there's no real right answer. We won't really know until the end of the season as to whether or not it was a good decision or not. So let's chat about it. Other than that,
About it.
next week, guys. Thank you. Thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are awesome. Bye.